All right, guys, we're back on. I had to break out the standing desk for this one. I'm really excited, as I'm sure a lot of you are, to have Robby on. We're going to bring him on here in a sec. Robby, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. You caught me cleaning my glasses.
Hey, I'm sorry. I should have given you a second.
Don't worry about it.
Everyone,
Don't worry
show
about
some love for Robby there in the comments. Please just spam the comments. Robby, thank you for coming on, man. I don't know if you know this. Did you watch Mike Novak's session yesterday?
I have not yet. No. Why?
You saw it at your summit, though, right? What he was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys haven't watched Mike's session about the showing partner model, it was an absolute just my mind is blown. And everyone else too.
Good. So. Mike is I always jokingly say that he's my bodyguard, but Mike is he's like the toughest guy in the world that has the gentlest heart and cares and loves for people. I love it. He's one of the best people out there. So honored to be in a sandbox.
And you guys at Hatch have gotten a lot of love at this summit. You guys are doing some awesome things. And so I'm really excited to have you on here. We're talking about lead gen today, right?
Yes, yeah, lead conversion. I jokingly tell people I'm a lead geek, and it's I mean, who else starts a session off by cleaning the glasses besides a nerd?
Yeah, then we got the certified lead geek on here, right? Well, dude, you give us a little background on you. I mean, I know when I think ISA, I think people who know about ISAs, people who know about converting leads, people who have probably converted and been rejected by more leads than anybody out there, right? I think you guys. So maybe give us a little background on what y'all do.
Yeah, man. So I like to always talk about how my sales journey began. Actually, didn't start in real estate. It started when I was working on, out of all things, a political campaign, right? And if I can promise all of your listeners one simple truth, it's that if there's one thing that's less popular than a salesperson, it's somebody working in politics. I guarantee it, because I did it. I worked something called field, and I'm not going to tell you political parties, especially in the climate we're in these days. But what was one really interesting fact, all right? And it's one piece of value that I hope you all can take away. And it's simply this. When I first got into that, when I was door knocking for different candidates that I was working for and I supported, they literally gave me a script. Right? Just like we do in real estate. They said, hey, say these things, you're going to convert voters. That's literally what they said. And in real estate, they say, hey, say these 3 or 4 things and you'll convert business. Mm-hmm. And what I found was when I went up to people's doorsteps, right, and I told people that were of the middle or the opposing party that they should be voting for a candidate, how do you think those conversations went, Zach?
That was a lot of fun.
You can imagine, right? I was called every word in the book. Long story short, I learned one simple truth. It's that if I wanted to influence somebody, I first had to find out what's already influencing them. So really, I switched it. I took everything they were telling me to say, and I threw it out the window. And I'll tell you how this relates to real estate in a minute. Instead of going up to somebody's door and saying, hey, Zach, I'm with blank and blank political party. Here's why you should support my candidate, and then get literally booed off the doorstep. I came up and I said, hey, Zach, I'm here with blank and blank political party. I had to say that legally. And man, I just came out today because I wanted to know what matters to you this election. And here's what's funny, Zach. People wouldn't stop talking. They would talk and talk and talk. So when I got into real estate, I left political campaigns for a variety of reasons, primarily the fact that you literally become unemployed every year after a campaign is done, right? And we were expecting our first child. And I was lucky enough that one of the candidates that I helped get elected was working with Eric Hatch, who obviously owns the Eric Hatch team. And I was not a polished individual. I was not good at speaking. I lacked, really any form of confidence. But I had one skill going for me, Zach, and it's simply that I knew how to ask questions and actually listen. You see, the best script in the book, in my eyes, is simply tell me more. It's allowing somebody else to keep going and going deeper into what they're saying. And there's a lot of people that talk about this, right? Again, seek first to understand, then to be understood was the great Stephen Covey. It was Tony Robbins that said, if you want to influence somebody, you got to find out what's already influencing them. Mm-hmm. So for us, my script when I got into real estate, people were like, just call them and tell them why your team's the best, or follow these scripts, these interest rate scripts, or whatever it was. It's all the same junk. And I would call and say, hey, Zach, saw that you were looking at some homes on my site. And man, I wanted to know, were you just kind of looking for fun, or are you thinking about potentially making a move in the near future? And guess what? People would talk and talk and talk. And even if you told me you were just looking for fun, or you're like, nah, man, I'm not really interested, I'd say, okay, so you're just kind of looking for fun, but what had you curious about real estate? And guess what they would say a lot of times, Zach? Oh, I'm thinking about buying a home in a year or two.
There you go.
So it's just, that's my background. I was an ISA, boots on the ground. The numbers I like to give is I made 100,000 calls in about 2 years, give or take. This is back when calls was everything to convert leads at a high level. And I'm about to deliver some interesting news to you all here in a little bit about how lead conversion is changing. But I made 100,000 calls, spoke to 10,000 people, set about 1,000 appointments, and that led to over 400 closed transactions in about 2.5 years.
Nice.
And now, since then, I get to coach and train a lot of the top lead converting teams in the country, whether it's ISA teams or agents, and we've created really cool stuff that helps people convert leads at a really high level. So that's my background. And again, as you can tell, I get very excited about lead conversion. So sorry.
You guys have some great content. Can you remind me the website so I could drop it here in the comments?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. If you want some free stuff, go to hatchcoaching.com, and literally just so hatch coaching, like an egg hatching. So HATCH coaching.com. And literally the top banner is going to be free lead conversion training, where I give you 5 of the lessons that I teach all my clients on how to convert leads. Go check it out, sign up, doesn't cost you anything. Obviously, to be very transparent, I hope that you maybe check out our ultimate guide to lead conversion, but you'll like that, I think. Also on that page, another cool thing we did was we created Convert with my ISAs. And Convert is like the Netflix of lead conversion. There's content we put in there on how to convert leads, about mirroring and matching, all that good stuff. And that's right on that Hatch coaching page as well. And again, that is Convert, the Netflix lead conversion. Hopefully I don't get sued over that.
I love it. So let's dig into this a little bit, Robby. When we say lead conversion is changing, where do we even start?
Oh my gosh, man. So let's start here. Let's go back to when I was an ISA. The reality is that the reason ISAs, people always ask, well, I've had ISAs and it hasn't worked, right? And I think it's because people's definitions of ISAs is really antiquated. In my world, you all need to know, if you hear me talk about ISAs, they are the lead managers. This is not the low man on the totem pole or low woman on the totem pole. These are the leaders in my business that are the lead conversion ninja. So let's first get that out there, that most people were looking to hire somebody for $15 an hour and pay them nothing, and they were expecting those people to convert leads and call them ISAs. That is not my definition of an ISA, right? Not even close. But let's talk about this. The old school way of converting leads, honestly, in our world, the way we created a competitive advantage was simply we did something most agents didn't either have the time or the awareness or the systems to do. Any guesses what it was, Zach? Following up.
Yeah.
Right? It's simple. And here's what was so unique is the ISAs, frankly, it was just their full-time job that when they spoke to somebody, they actually called 6 months later, 9 months later, 12 months later, unlike, maybe agents. And again, some people say it's the agent's fault. I don't blame agents. They're already wearing 18 different hats. You're expecting them to, balance converting deals and working deals and servicing their clients. And the reality is if you're a great agent, what happens is you're really great at lead generating. So you build your pipeline, right? And then what happens, you get busy. You get busy servicing that pipeline. And then guess what happens to your lead generation? And then it's an ebb and flow that we all go through. And we're like, okay, well, this is silly, right? We're always somebody that's trying to solve problems. And that's why we created the ISA department in our world, was to bring consistency to the follow-up game. Now, there's 3 things, Zach, I want everybody here to write down, all right? It's the 3 core things that lead to lead conversion, all right? It's very, very simple. It's almost always, these are the 3 KPIs I measure, and if I see a really low converting team, one of these KPIs is trash every single time. So number 1, it's going to shock you. No, it won't. Speed to lead, right? It used to be everything. There's tons of studies that will show you that you got to get there within 5 minutes or else your conversion falls off a cliff. So speed to lead is number one, and we're going to go back into these in a little bit. Number two is speed to response. All right, speed to response, and we'll come back to that in a second. And then number three is speed to service. All right, speed to lead is very, very self-evident. Lead comes in, how quickly are you getting to it? All right, here's the thing that's going to happen, Zach. It's going to catch a lot of your people here off guard. Is my prediction is in a year or two, speed to lead won't matter at all.
Wow.
Zero. Here's why. We and really great teams, guess what they're doing with their speed to lead? They're automating it.
Yeah.
They're automating it through texting. Well, if everybody starts automating it, my friend, guess what? There's no competitive advantage anymore. When everybody starts automating, we're all on the same level playing field, speed to lead becomes the same thing. Well, except for the dinosaurs that are going to leave the industry, but that writing's been on the wall for a minute, right?
Right.
But speed to lead isn't going to matter much because everyone's going to be getting there within 5 minutes. That will be just a given. What will matter, though, Zach, is speed to response. All right? And speed to response really means this, is that if you're automating your first attempt, and obviously in this day and age, this is the big shift that people need to wake up to, is that we are seeing the death, literally the death of the phone call in front of us. We have seen answer rates dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, especially from a random phone number, especially in a political climate like this, especially when people get spam calls that annoy the living heck out of us.
Best feature ever is my iPhone lets me just, if I don't have your number in my phone, it goes straight to voicemail.
Straight to voicemail. Yep, exactly. I've been telling people this is coming, and people were laughing at me. The reality is that the old school model of calling leads is becoming something that at bare minimum less effective. And I'll give you some numbers here in a little bit, but I want to finish the speed to lead, speed to response stuff. So now that we're automating it, obviously, if I want to, the question I always ask people, because we get stuck in business, we get stuck in a business mindset, not in the consumer mindset. And if there's one rule you should always do in anything you're doing, is stop thinking like a real estate agent. Good dang it, stop it. Start thinking like the school teacher who's busy with kids at home. Start thinking like that school counselor who's coming home, or that nurse. Start thinking like that, because that matters far more. And the reality is they're so sick of this thing calling them with a random phone number. If I wanted to reach any of you, which one of you would all prefer a random phone call from a random phone number compared to a random text? Everybody would prefer a random text. And we know this intuitively. But so many people are resistant to it but that's not what we've been doing for a while. And you need to be ready to shift. Because the change is already coming, it's here. People are answering the phone less and less, and we're contacting more leads via text than ever before. And if I had to guess, and I'll give you some numbers here in a little bit, again, I'll save it for the end. If I had to guess, we're going to see some cataclysmic changes that are going to really change how this game works. But anyway, speed to response really means this, is that when a lead texts you back, Zach, how long is that response sitting there going unresponded to? That's what's going to really matter. That's going to be the new speed to lead, but it's going to be speed to response. So when a lead responds to your automated campaign, here's what's unique, Zach. When do you think they're going to respond? Whenever they want, right? Think about it, Zach. When does a lead come in? When are they going to respond to a text? Whenever they open it. Whenever they want to. And what it's going to do is it's fracturing the work you have to do in lead conversion even further into little bite-sized pieces you're doing all day long. You're texting people. Mike has shared this. My eyes have shared this. We're not calling leads at even a fraction of what we used to be doing. Yet we're all converting at higher levels than we were a year ago. And really what it comes down to is we've automated so much that we're engaged in texting conversations with leads all the dang time.
That's cool.
You see, the big metric I used to look at was speed to lead and how many new leads have you not done anything with? How many times have you called them? That used to matter. Now you know what matters the most when you automate things? How many unanswered messages are sitting in your inbox? Here's the funny thing, Zach, is I have a client using our stuff, and they just started doing some retargeting stuff in Sierra. And guess what? The first day, I think, had 75 people message her day one.
Wow.
Imagine managing 75 conversations at once, right, as an ISA. It's craziness. But that's the thing. That's the world we're moving to, is less and less talking. Now, let me give you some numbers on this, all right? This is the crazy stuff that I want you to write down. Last year, when my ISAs were setting appointments, 80% of the time, it was voice to voice, meaning we were talking to them on the phone, talking details, setting the appointment. 20% of the time, we were texting. All right? This year, 2020, 50-50.
Wow.
Okay? My projection is that by the end of next year, we're going to see the inverse of last year. We're going to see 80% of our appointments will be set via text, and we'll never talk to them voice to voice. Because Zach, look at you, man. Do you want to talk to me on the phone, or can we just text about it?
You can't even get me on the phone, right? I think my voicemail says, if you have something you want to tell me, text me.
That's the world, man. Like, that's the world we're moving to. And this is the other funny thing, is it's not just millennials. It's now Gen Xers. It's spreading, because that's how these things always work, right? This is going to expedite. My favorite story on this, by the way, is go look at people that are 15 to 20 years old, right? And see what they do. Go ask them if they ever answer a random phone call. They will undoubtedly tell you no. They don't even answer their mom and dad's phone calls. They text their mom and dad back. That's the world we're moving to. Think about the most predominant companies today: Facebook, Amazon, Apple. Who were the first people using it? Those dang young college kids, right? Mm-hmm. Every single time. If you ever want to see the future, go look at the kids. And that's just what I always do. As a forecaster, I don't look what I'm doing today. That's a terrible business strategy. I try to think where things are going. And what I'm really here to help you all wake up to is texting is going to be the core foundation for conversion of the future. Now, here's the cool thing, is you can automate so much of it. Now, there's a balance. Cody, who you met, Zach, right? Cody Meyer, our lead eye. What you all need to realize is automation doesn't just solve all your problems. If anything, it can create extra problems. Imagine if you're automating messages to all your brand new leads and nobody ever responds when the lead responds. You've just created a bigger issue. Not only did you have leads you weren't reaching out to, now you've reached out to them, they responded, and nothing happened. That's a worse problem. So that's the thing I hope you all really wake up to, is that speed to lead is going to disappear. Speed to response is going to be the main KPI, meaning how long is a lead's response just sitting in your inbox before you respond to it. And then speed to service, on the last note, speed to service is simply the idea of how quickly are you able to get in front of somebody. And for us, our whole model, our real estate team, and again, to kind of give you all some background, our production is up 35% this year. And you want me to tell you something very transparent, Zach? I think a lot of people this year think their businesses are really great because they're up 5, 10%. And then that I go and ask, how much is your market up? And they say 5, 10%. And I say, no, your market is making you better, not you. Our market's up about 10%. We're up 35%. And one of the biggest things that is playing into that is we've automated so much with our leads, of automating these messages and having our ISAs handle those responses. And then, of course, our model is built off the idea that we don't, the whole showing partner model is we don't ever just give somebody anything. They have to earn it, right? That's what's so genius about our model of agents. We don't hire agents. We hire showing partners who earn the right to become an agent. But the great thing about that is because we have extra manpower that's built into our system, our speed to service so much quicker than that agent who's trying to balance 45 different things and can't.
Way more. That's what Mike was talking about the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. So speed to lead is still a big thing. It's going to go down in importance. Speed to response is huge, and speed to service, man, is everything. So that's it. That's what I wanted to bring for you all today.
I love it. So a couple questions I wanted to dig into here.
Yeah.
And please, people, if you have questions for Robby, put them in the comments. We'll bring them up on screen. We'll answer them here live. So texting, there was a time, and I think a lot of people still have this belief that sending a text, especially an unwarranted text, is a little obtrusive, right? That the text message in box was almost like this holy thing that you is that changing? Have you found ways to, break that?
That is a really good question. Let me just name this. A lot of people think they're using texting in the wrong way. And what I mean by that is they think that what they think texting can be used for is disseminating information, sending you information about us, my team, links. And this is what I'll tell you is Twilio, who actually is one of the biggest texting communication providers for all businesses. I wouldn't be surprised if Sisu uses it in some fashion. Yep. Almost everybody does. They have literally said you are not to use texting to send out marketing or sales-based information. They have literally told users that's an inappropriate use of text messages. And the reason is, think about this. The thing people need to know with texting is the carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, are deathly afraid that your text message inbox, like you said, Zach, becomes your email inbox. And the funny thing is we all have two emails. Almost everyone I've met has two. One is your authentic email that I can email Zach at. The other one is your junk email that you give to get 20% off at Target or whatever's going on, right? And I never check it. They're afraid that the phone number becomes that. By the way, phone numbers won't exist, in my opinion, in 10, 20 years. Just
okay. We got to do that in a second.
We'll come back to that later. Yeah, we got to wrap before I can dive into that whole rabbit hole. But the point I'm getting at here is texting, the use of it, literally the socially acceptable use, is a form of way to communicate in a conversational manner. Meaning everything you should be sending to leads shouldn't be, hey, I got a bunch of new listings I want to send out to you. That's sales and marketing. You're at a lot higher risk of being flagged by the carriers and them literally not delivering your messages. Rather, send messages like, hey, Zach, saw that you were looking at some homes on one of our websites. I just wanted to see, were you just looking for fun or are you thinking about making a move? That's conversational, right? That sounds like I'm a friend texting you. And I think that's got to be your mindset. And what I see is a lot of people violate that. And frankly, that's what frustrates us, right? Think about the spam texts you get. That's the other thing that's happening is you get spam texts now. And what I always tell people is if you see a spam text, anything they're doing in there, make sure you do the opposite. And here's what you'll notice is in a spam text, they almost send you a link every single time, right? And so that's the thing. Try almost never to send links because the carriers are seeing that. And they're like, they can't tell, are you spamming somebody or is this authentic? What I can tell you, it's very rare that you're sending a link to a friend just, in mass to people. That's very rare. Now, if I'm sending you a link, because we've had a conversation back and forth 20 times, totally different story. But you know dang well that the carriers are using some form of AI to filter through all these messages to find what is junk and what isn't. And really the red flags you need to think about are sending a ton of messages at once is a red flag. Sending spam-oriented stuff with a bunch of links in it, junk. If you're getting crappy response rates, right, or you're getting a lot of stops, you know dang well these carriers are measuring that and they're looking at it and they know, okay, this person's sending junk. We're going to start adversely affecting their messaging. So you got to send things that seem authentic, that seem conversational in nature. That's what you got to do.
So you guys then are doing almost maybe walk me through your lead gen a little bit, but sure. I know you have a pretty massive data. You guys have a ton of leads in Sierra, right? You run in Sierra. Yeah. You guys are you doing a lot of cold prospecting out there? Or is it mainly inbound leads or old leads, people who, even if it's like a fringe of a connection, they kind of know who you are, right? And that's who you're reaching out to.
The first thing I'll be very clear about is you can only text leads with automated anything to leads that have explicitly opted in. For example, I can't take a list of expired listings, go put them in Sierra, and put them on messaging plans.
It's just not a good idea anyways.
I'd get sued, right? Yeah. I should get sued. Now, the big thing is we're really heavy into pay-per-click. We use Sierra for PPC leads. Yep. We also use Ylopo for PPC and retargeting, and they've been a huge asset to us as well in creating opportunities. We're really heavy into PPC. About 65, 70%, I forget the exact number of our leads are coming from some form of PPC lead source. And really, a lot of people just hate those leads. And one data point for you all just to know is our average PPC closing, and this goes back to years worth of data now, is 644 days after a lead registers. And a lot of people hear that, they're like, that's BS, mine is 270. And here's what I'll tell you is, we view no's much different than you all. So not only does my team follow up with somebody that's a year out or 2 years out, although we're automating all that now. More importantly, when somebody tells us no, what they're really saying, and you need to realize this hopefully, is they're saying not yet. And that's how we view them. Because think about it, the average person is buying or selling a home every 7-ish years, give or take. The stat always changes. But more importantly, with young people, it's much more frequently than that, right? It's every 2, 3, or 4 years. It's the old people in the home for 20 years that raise that stat up. But the point in this is, we keep converting old crap that everybody else is just letting sit in their database and frankly go into purgatory and die. We keep chasing them. We use automation to do that. So we put people on a not interested plan. It literally reaches out very periodically. It's not pushy. It's not aggressive, but it is persistent and it's conversational. So if you told me, Zach, you weren't interested, you're going to get a text from me 6 months later saying, hey, Zach, we connected a little while back, and I know you weren't really interested at that point. I just wanted to see if your plans have changed at all. And this is what people don't realize, right? There's some people that think you just get lucky in life. I don't believe in that. I think that's garbage. I think you create luck. And one of my favorite stories on this is Jim, one of my ISAs, had somebody respond to a message just like that. And they said, yeah, give me a call when you get a chance. Jim calls this person, gets on the phone, and he learns that this person he was just talking to, who responded to an automated plan like this, they tell him, man, it's crazy, I just got your text. Literally just a few hours ago, I walked into my wife sleeping with the UPS guy, right? Do we know as lead generators that this dude's wife cheating with the UPS guy? Hell no, I can't know that stuff. It's randomness. The reality is that random stuff happens in life. Did anybody know COVID was going to completely shift and change the emotion of the world in March? Did anyone know this back in January, February? Probably not, right? These things are random. The world is really random. So we just don't give up. Our mindset is not yet. So we keep following up. But here's the thing, Zach, where people go wrong is they're pushy and salesy. And when you're pushy, salesing, and if you're always pushing stuff on people, guess what? When you follow up 6 months or 12 months later, they want to give you a middle finger.
Like, here we go again. Yeah,
here we go again. Here's this a-hole who sent me this, right? And that's not what people want. Instead, they want to know they're human. They want to know that you care, but not that you're pushing. And one of the biggest things I've learned, Zach, you want to convert more leads. This is like an oxymoron. But if you want to convert more leads, let go of the attachment of the outcome. Don't care. Ask questions and don't care whether they say yes or no. If anything, be excited about no's because it'll help you clean up your database. You know it's a not yet. Or if anything, when I hear a no, I want to find out why not.
Yeah.
And because I'm naturally curious and not being pushy or salesy, they actually, it's not them thinking I'm some sales slick person trying to screw them. So
I love it. Robby, one question here. Lisa was asking a little more on the number side. Are you counting texts and text responses the same way as you count dials and conversations on the phone?
So we would count a contact the way we describe it. So I'll just tell you how we do it. So we count calls separately than texts. We've always counted texts and emails as mass attempts. Now, when a contact for us is anytime somebody's thrown the ball back. So let's say I have an auto message going out to you, Zach, and you respond, and now we're engaged in a texting conversation, and we've texted back and forth 20 times. That would not count as 20 contacts or 20 texts. It's one contact and technically one text that maybe I was sending out.
Yeah.
So that's how we've internally counted it, so we don't have stupid, crazy numbers. What I will say is my ISAs, I'll share one little tidbit on this that's really fascinating is, a couple of weeks ago, we only had 3 of our 4 ISAs working. One was selfishly on vacation. No, I'm just kidding. It's good for them. She was on vacation. And the other 3 that were back, they sent 33 appointments in a week. Just so you all know, that's a very average week. There's nothing remarkable about setting 33 appointments in our world. It's a very normal week. We probably average right around 30 if you take into account ebbs and flows. Obviously being in Fargo in January, February, nobody wants to go outside because it's negative 20 degrees and you might die. It's not that cold, but we like to play it up a little bit. So they set 33 appointments. What was really interesting was, guess how many calls collectively they made that whole week to set 33 appointments, Zach?
Let's hear it.
150. 150 calls to leads, yet they set 33 appointments. Here's the funny thing, was they still each were averaging over 30 contacts per day. Mm-hmm. What we've done is we're just working smarter, not harder. The whole old school model was call, 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 call. And what we're seeing is a transition towards you can automate things and create the contact and start the conversation. That's the world we're living in. Mike is doing this at a high level, and a bunch of other people now that are using some of our stuff in Sierra as well. But it's really, I think, the future. Because again, man, if I wanted to get a hold of you, Zach, and if I kept calling and calling, and maybe one more thing I share with you that's very unique. Do we got a few more minutes? Can I go down the road?
Yeah, we're running up on our next speaker, but yes, please.
Cool. Please one more thing. So we did a beta test with Mike Novak, actually. And what we did was we basically A/B tested a plan. So I want you to envision we have two pools of leads, right? And in one pool, these are all low quality leads. In one pool, we only texted and emailed them. In the other pool, we text, emailed, and we did voicemail drops, right? So we built those in. Rationally, we would all think more attempts, higher response rate, more conversion, right? So we would think that, set group A versus group B, the one with the voicemail drop should have a higher contact rate. The funny thing was 3 weeks into testing this with Mike, he sends me a text. He's like, I think we need to take the voicemails out. And really what it comes down to, this is what we've learned, is voicemail drops to low quality leads, new low quality leads. It reduced the contact rate 20%. I can't tell you why, man. I've been trying to figure this out. The only thing I can tell you is I went to my wife and told her, and she said the biggest thing about it was the fact that phone calls now are annoying. It frustrates her. And anything associated with the phone call, a random phone call, let me add, a random phone call makes people frustrated. So yeah. That's the unique thing. We're also doing a beta test where we're actually not going to call new leads at all. We're going to split the numbers. We'll come back and do a whole webinar with you on it. Zach can tell you, because making phone calls actually lower your contact rate. So
I love it, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Of course.
That was good stuff, as I expected. And let's do that webinar here in next month or so. I'd love to.
Absolutely, man. Thank you all for having me on. Love you all, CSU community.
See you, Robby. Yep, we'll see you.